Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news is unfolding inside Iraq's financial system. The government is reportedly considering new currency controls as the US dollar shortage deepens. This is not just an economic headline. It is a decision that could reshape how businesses trade, how families save, and how every Iraqi shops in the market. For years, the Iraqi economy has lived in the shadow of the dollar. Even though Iraq's official currency is the dinar, the greenback is everywhere. In shops, in contracts, in people's savings. And yet, right now, the availability of physical dollars inside the country is shrinking. Banks are limiting withdrawals, traders are paying higher rates, and the black market is surging. Ordinary people are feeling the squeeze. So, what exactly are these currency controls the government is weighing? In simple terms, currency controls are restrictions on how much foreign money, in this case, US dollars, can be accessed, exchanged, or transferred abroad. The central bank might decide to limit the daily amount of dollars a person can buy, restrict the use of cash dollars in markets, or force businesses to settle more transactions in Iraqi dinars. On paper, these policies sound like tools to protect reserves and defend the value of the national currency. But in practice, they can also create new complications. Let's imagine the life of a trader in Baghdad. He imports electronics from Dubai. His supplier demands payment in dollars. But under new restrictions, he can't get enough dollars from the bank. So what does he do? He turns to the parallel market, where dollars cost more. That higher cost filters down into the prices of phones, laptops, and TVs, and suddenly, every shopper in Baghdad pays the price. Or take the example of a family in Basra. They've saved a small amount of money in cash dollars because they don't fully trust the dinar. Now, with tighter controls, exchanging those dollars becomes harder. Banks may refuse, markets may pay less, and the black market might charge a heavy fee. What was once a financial safety net becomes a burden. And this is where the danger lies. When governments restrict access to dollars, people don't stop wanting them. In fact, demand can rise even higher. The more Iraqis believe dollars will be scarce, the more they will rush to get them, fueling panic, speculation, and more pressure on the dinar. The government's defenders argue that new controls are necessary. They point to smuggling across borders, to money laundering, and to the leakage of dollars toward countries under sanctions. By tightening the flow, Iraq can protect its reserves, strengthen its financial system, and push people to use the dinar more. In theory, this could reduce dependency on the dollar and pave the way for greater stability. But critics warn of a different outcome, that tighter controls could backfire, strengthening the black market instead of weakening it. If official banks cannot meet demand, shadow networks will step in, often at inflated rates. This widens the gap between the official exchange rate and the street rate, fueling inflation. And for the average Iraqi, that means food, fuel, medicine, and rent all get more expensive. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, at a crossroads. The government is studying its options. Should it act quickly and impose strict controls, risking public backlash? Or should it wait, hoping that oil revenues and international negotiations will ease the shortage? Either way, the decision will affect every pocket, every household, and every business in Iraq. This is not just about money. This is about trust. Trust in the dinar, trust in the banks, trust in the government itself. If new currency controls restore stability, confidence might return. But if they go wrong, the crisis could deepen, and Iraqis may lose even more faith in their financial system. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now take a deeper dive into what new currency controls could mean for Iraq. Not just in the coming weeks, but for the entire future of the economy. To understand the significance, we first need to look at history. Iraq is not the first country to consider such measures. Nations from Venezuela to Egypt, from Lebanon to Turkey, have tried to protect their currencies by restricting dollar access. Sometimes it buys time, sometimes it triggers chaos. In Lebanon, strict dollar controls led to the collapse of public trust in banks. In Egypt, currency restrictions fueled a massive black market until the government was forced to devalue its pound. These examples serve as both warnings and lessons for Iraq. Now, how does this play out on the ground inside Iraq? Imagine three groups: traders, ordinary citizens, and the government itself. For traders, tighter controls mean more obstacles. Businesses that import food, medicine, and goods rely on dollar payments. If banks restrict access, these traders must turn to the parallel market. And when they pay more for dollars, they pass those costs to consumers. Bread, rice, sugar, cooking oil, and fuel all rise in price. This is how inflation silently enters every Iraqi home. For ordinary citizens, especially savers, currency controls can feel like a betrayal. Many Iraqis hold onto US dollars under their mattresses, not because they distrust their own country, but because history has taught them that the dinar can lose value overnight. Now, if exchanging those dollars becomes restricted or penalized, people lose their safety net. And when confidence is lost, panic buying starts. Everyone rushes for dollars, even at higher black market rates, creating a self-fulfilling crisis. For the government, currency controls are a double-edged sword. On one hand, they can protect precious reserves and show the world that Iraq is taking action. On the other hand, they can trigger unrest. Remember, the street is watching. When the price of food rises and salaries can't keep up, anger spills into protests. Economic frustration in Iraq has always been tied to political instability. This decision is not just financial. It is deeply political. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Some analysts argue that the government's moves today could be part of a bigger strategy, a preparation for revaluation of the dinar. By reducing money supply and restricting dollar outflows, Iraq may be laying the foundation for a stronger currency in the future. Imagine this scenario. The government cuts circulation, limits speculation, defends reserves, and then announces a stronger official rate for the dinar. For some, this sounds like a dream, the long-rumored RV that dinar holders have waited for. But reality is complicated. A revaluation cannot succeed without deep reforms. Cleaning up banks, stopping smuggling networks, and boosting confidence in domestic production. Otherwise, any artificial strengthening of the dinar will collapse under market pressure, just as it has in other countries. Meanwhile, the black market looms as the wild card. Whenever governments restrict access to dollars, shadow networks grow stronger. Already, reports suggest smugglers are moving dollars across borders into neighboring countries under sanctions. If controls tighten, those networks will expand. Instead of stabilizing the market, Iraq could end up fueling an underground economy where the dollar rules even more strongly. Let's also consider the psychology of money. The Iraqi people are not just numbers on a chart. They are families making decisions every day about what to buy, what to save, and how to survive. If trust in the dinar does not improve, no government decree will change behavior. People will still chase dollars. The key, therefore, is not just new laws, but rebuilding confidence. That means transparency, accountability, and ensuring that when Iraqis use dinars, they can rely on stable prices. And what about the future? If the government introduces new currency controls, Iraq will enter a period of testing. Will the market adapt, or will it rebel? Will people trust the official system, or will they strengthen the parallel one? Will these steps prepare Iraq for a stronger dinar, or will they expose deeper weaknesses in the financial system? One thing is certain: the stakes are high. Iraq's oil revenues give it strength, but its dependence on imports and its history of financial instability leave it vulnerable. The coming months will reveal whether these new currency controls are a turning point toward stability, or another chapter in the ongoing struggle between the dinar and the dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, the story is still unfolding. For now, the only guarantee is uncertainty. The government may announce bold policies. The central bank may intervene, but the real verdict will come from the streets, from the traders in Baghdad, the shoppers in Basra, the savers in Erbil. They will decide whether to trust the dinar or to cling to the dollar. And that decision, more than any official announcement, will shape Iraq's economic future.